Welcome back to the Daily Rundown. Next up, it's been revealed that the NHS has given the medical records of 1.6 million patients to Google. According to the New Scientist, the records have been shared with us as part of a data sharing agreement between the technology giant and the NHS. Google says it tends to use the data as part of its group DeepMind to develop a health app which can help recognise kidney injury. However, campaigners have expressed concerns that the data share is a breach of trust and not in patients' interest. Do you think this is for the greater good, or is it just a little bit creepy?
Well, I didn't really know anything about this, so
I don't think many people did.
No, and so you can access it on Google through Google.
No,
what is it?
We can't access it.
We can't access it.
Google they're making an app.
Yeah.
To detect kidney injury and help medics.
Right.
Diagnose.
And to do this, they need to
problems.
have access to patients' records.
Right.
So would you be happy about your records being given without your permission to Google?
Surely isn't it meant to be, particularly not Google, surely isn't it meant to be private? They're your records.
I did think there was something to do with the Data Protection Act, but clearly not if they can hand over all of that to a giant like Google.
Well, there's been I read some things about this, and there's been talk that a lot of the safeguards that we should have in place for our NHS with these records haven't been strictly followed, and so potentially we've handed over, or the NHS have handed over a lot of information which Google could use for private profitable enterprise. And to my mind, in the Hippocratic Oath, it didn't say you must have the utmost respect for all human life from the beginning, unless there's some profit to be made from it. It's a bit scary.
It doesn't say how much Google paid for this information, which would be quite interesting to find out.
Yeah,
it would, but possibly Google offered. I don't know, but surely you could say, well, we'll do this for a reduced price or whatever because we'll make some technology and we'll make it available to you, but. That's always been the point with a lot of social networks like Gmail, which I use Gmail as a function. It's free to use, but they have all my information and I have to constantly sign some agreement about privacy, which basically means that they can use the information that I put for their own purposes. Facebook's the same. We are the product. So Google taking this information, a very private and personal piece of information, is terrible. It's creeping surveillance, and it just seems that nothing in our dystopian society that we're seeming to living in.
Yeah, it is, because it's one of those other things that you keep hearing about that makes life turn more into 1984, doesn't it? Or it makes everything just getting that little bit creepier and a bit more surveillance on everything, and it's worrying.
Well, I'm up for things that help medical progress. I'm up for things that can detect renal issues, because renal operations. I used to go out with a nurse who was a kidney sort of nurse. She dealt with renal issues. It's a complicated process to get down into that part of the body and operate on them. And so if we can avoid those kind of operations, it's a good thing. But at the same time, handing a private firm very private and personal information, which a patient has given under good faith. They've gone to the doctor under good faith and said, "Doctor, this is private and confidential." Of course, this is private and confidential.
We have to assume that it's just patients who have kidney issues, and it's only that section of the medical notes that have been handed over. But you do kind of wonder if maybe it's just, here's a file, off you go.
Yeah.
There's not really any specific information we have on exactly what was handed over, what state it was in. Was it redacted? Was it edited in any way?
Yeah.
I think that's probably what we need to find out next.
Well, we know from times gone by that government bodies and public bodies who've had masses of private information haven't always been the best at managing to keep that information private. Laptops left on trains and things like that, So
you can pretty much find out all sorts of things if you search deeply enough online now. You were telling us a slightly creepy story during the interval.
AJ,
doing some research on a past partner, I believe.
I've looked up one of my exes in the past just with her name. No, I'll be honest. I did it when we split up, and you're in that crazy phase. So I found out a lot more information than I thought I'd be able to find out, which scared me, to be honest. So I I think we should really think about what we are putting online, and especially who we are. That was with Google as well. So, I think we should definitely consider who we're trusting our information to.
What did you find out exactly?
Nothing really important or helpful.
Tell us all about your ex. What exactly did she do? And
what do you mean, what did she do?
What did you find out?
But you can tell us about, obviously, and earshot off the gerbil.
Yeah, me and the gerbil have become good friends since she left.
Feel really uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, I'm sweating buckets. It's fine.
What about your online usage, Jen? I mean, do you think there's? I don't mean specifically, but is there anything? I'm getting you off the hook here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That was amazing. Sorry.
Do you use it, and do you ever think, what's going on here? That things have popped up.
Or just whenever I have like my information out there online.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting creepier, isn't it? Because suddenly you're doing something, and then the computer is advertising something specific to what you've
just looked at.
Or what you're into. And I didn't even remember telling anyone on the computer that. How do they know this? And so it's again, it's just we're into that new world now, aren't we?
Because everything used to be paper data or kept as records, in books or ledgers or whatever. Yeah. It's now all online for speed and efficiency and accuracy.
In the cloud.
And therefore, it's all in the cloud partly. Yeah. And anyone probably, if they tried hard enough, could find all kinds of things.
Yeah. So obviously, and it's pros and cons. Obviously, we live in a wonderful age where information is out there, and it is free for all. Well, not free, but you know what I mean. Obviously, you got to pay for an internet connection, but you know what I mean. It's out there, and it is a great time. But then again, where's it going to lead? And
so, if Facebook start advertising for kidney dialysis machines on your Facebook page, you'll know you're one of those people that's had their records handed over.
Yeah, I like
it. So we'll leave that one there and go to this. It's quite interesting. I'm just looking along the sofa now, trying to see what poses my guests are adopting.
Just a natural pose.
It's very natural, yes. Sort of like shabby chic. I won't say which is which. Apparently adopting a power pose to boost your confidence can help your performance at work. But there are places where these poses could do you more harm than good. Power poses include standing with your hands on your hips and your legs apart to show confidence. And these are thought to, as Mike is sort of attempting to demonstrate right now.
By sitting down, yeah.
You seem more confident to me already.
I feel it.
A little bit odd. But apparently these are supposed to affect testosterone and cortisol levels in the brain and in turn boost a person's performance. But a Harvard psychologist says there is one place at work where people should not adopt power poses, and that is during meetings. These poses can make others divert their gaze away from a person, suggesting that the person who looks away feels intimidated by this overt display of dominance made in a power pose. Do we have some favourite power poses? I'm thinking not.
No, I haven't got one at all.
Right, okay, yeah. Can a pose intimidate if you're at a meeting or even a conversation with somebody and they're adopting some sort of pose? Can it intimidate you?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling slightly intimidated at the moment.
Well, it depends. If someone's, and they do like a, put the leg up and it's in your face, or, and it's just a bit, you've got an appropriate pose, maybe. You
have mansplaining, which is what I'm doing now. If we focus on my crotchlet area, everybody.
Don't focus on. He always does this.
This is mansplaining. So mansplaining, apparently, if a man spreads his legs out like Mike is doing as well, apparently that attracts the opposite sex more. I've seen studies now. This
really?
Yeah, really? Apparently so. Apparently it shows you as a dominant.
It's not coming over at the moment.
Yeah. But apparently it comes across as a dominant sort of position, and apparently that attracts the opposite sex. Amy Cuddy, the psychologist who actually came up with this.
We're going to have to get a paramedic if you keep going down.
Sorry, I was trying yoga. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, yoga's good.
Yeah, cheers.
Testosterone and endorphins and things like that. But anyway, so this Harvard study was quite interesting. They were looking at people staring at computer screens.
Right.
And they were seeing pictures of people like Michael.
Really?
Pictures of people like me, and
really?
And seeing how they responded with their eye contact to that picture. But the interesting thing is, with all these pieces of research that you read about in a newspaper article or in the media, it never really gives away much of the methodology. I always want to know what was the sample size. We interviewed 34 undergraduate students who don't have much self-confidence and don't leave their dorm rooms that often, and we found out that they find threatening situations threatening. It's like, well, of course they will, but they're not. They're not a representative sample of the population. That's
I think it's a more male or female thing. I think a power pose is very much a male thing.
I've seen Working Girl. I've seen those shoulder pads. Come on.
Yeah, classic. But then there's the whole female kind of Instagram girls doing the selfies, and that's all posing. That's all, you know.
Is that power posing though? I mean, is Kim Kardashian
in a way,
power poser?
I guess she is in a way, because she's using that. She's using that realm to make her power, really, isn't she? To make her money. She released a book of selfies, didn't she?
But is a would she be striking
she's
a
always
duck pout
posing
in
or
a
duck
meeting?
pouting or I don't know. I've never been to a meeting with Kim Kardashian.
Well, no, but I've never been to a meeting where someone stuck their lips out. If they did, I would be quite intimidated by that, actually.
But I find myself generally sometimes just doing, like, put my hand on it.
So, like He-Man.
Well, because I do stand-up comedy. I stand on stage, and
you have to adopt a dominant pose to have control of your audience,
and everyone's got their different mannerisms, and everyone's got their different body language, and I'm a bit all over the place, and I often find myself kind of doing that, and it's weird. And I would never do that in a normal situation.
Having said that, though, we do know a stand-up comic who goes up on stage and he's very meek and he hides behind the microphone, but somehow he has one of the best, to my mind, he has one of the best controls of the audience that I've ever seen, and he does it from just taking a very submissive position on stage, which makes the audience,
unusual.
They start paying attention to him because they're like, what's that guy doing up there? And then he sort of hits them with a joke.
Well, my pose now is saying it's time to go to a break, so we'll leave it there. These guys will be back very soon talking about some of their somethings to say, but join me in a couple of minutes. We will be talking tattoos. See you in a bit.